My fiancé's twin sister showed up at our wedding, but I wasn't supposed to know she was dead. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. The morning sun filtered through the stained glass windows of St. Augustine's Church, scattering colors across the aisle like confetti made of light. The organist was warming up. The florist was setting the last arrangements of lilies and white roses. Guests were already filling the pews, laughing, chatting, buzzing with that infectious wedding energy that makes everyone a little softer, a little brighter. And me? I was in the back room, straightening my tie, trying not to throw up. "Relax, man," said my best friend and best man Trevor, clapping me on the back. "You've been with Lila for what, 4 years? This is just another day, with way more flowers and way less sleep." I managed a nervous laugh. "Yeah, sure. Just another day I spend the rest of my life remembering." He grinned. Exactly, he didn't know. Nobody did except me and apparently whoever had sent that email the night before. The message had popped into my inbox around 11:42 p.m., subject line blank. "If you marry her, you'll be burying more than your future. You'll be burying the truth." Attached was a single photo, a blurry, grainy image of Lila, or someone who looked exactly like her, standing in front of a rundown motel. Except, there was something off about her eyes. Too dark, too hollow, and written across the bottom in digital scrawl. "Ask her about the sister." I hadn't slept. I'd tried to confront Lila in the morning, but she was already gone to get ready at the bridal suite with her maid of honor, Grace. When I texted her about the email, she replied instantly, "What email?" "Probably spam, babe. Relax. Big day." I wanted to believe her. God, I did. So I forced myself to focus on the ceremony, the vows, the rings, the life we were about to start, until she walked down the aisle, and I saw her. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. The organ music swelled. Everyone stood. Lila appeared at the end of the aisle, radiant in white, her arm looped through her father's, but just behind her, near the church's double doors, a woman stood watching. Same height, same eyes, same face. It was like seeing a reflection that didn't move in sync. The woman wasn't smiling. Her dress wasn't formal. It was black, plain, and wrong for a wedding. Her skin was pale, almost grayish, and her hair, Lila's hair, hung in tangled waves around her face. I blinked, and she was gone. The guests hadn't noticed. No one turned around. The priest kept speaking, but my blood ran cold. I somehow got through the vows, repeating words that sounded like static. Lila beamed at me, eyes bright and perfect. She squeezed my hands as we said, "I do," and for a moment I thought maybe it was just nerves. Maybe sleep deprivation was making me see things. But when we kissed, I felt something strange, like the air itself went heavy, and in that split second, as I opened my eyes, I saw her again, standing behind Lila, just over her shoulder. The same face, the same smile, only wrong. I pulled back, breaking the kiss too early. The guests chuckled, assuming it was nerves, but I couldn't shake the chill crawling up my spine, because she was there, watching. And when she mouthed something, just one word, I understood it perfectly, even without sound. "Run!" The reception was a blur. Toasts, dancing, laughter that felt too loud. Lila was glowing, flitting from table to table, thanking guests, laughing with family. I tried to act normal, tried to match her energy, but my eyes kept drifting to the windows, the shadows, every reflection in the glass. And then, just as dinner was being served, I saw her again, not outside, not across the room, standing in the reflection of the mirrored bar behind the reception table, right behind me. I turned so fast I knocked over my drink, but the space was empty. Trevor rushed over. "You good, man?" "Yeah," I lied, "just dizzy." Lila frowned. "You sure? You look pale." Yeah, just need some air." I slipped out of the ballroom, heart pounding, and went around to the back garden. The night was cool and the air smelled like roses and candle smoke. That's when I heard it, a woman's voice, soft, close. "You shouldn't have married her." I turned and there she was, the woman from the photo, from the aisle, from the mirror. She looked exactly like Lila, but wrong, older, tired. Her eyes were red as if she'd been crying for years. Who are you?" I managed. Her lips trembled. "She didn't tell you?" "Tell me what?" The woman's gaze darted toward the ballroom windows where the music still played faintly. "She's not who you think she is," she whispered. "I'm her sister. The door behind me burst open. Lila. Her face was white as chalk. "Who are you talking to?" she asked, voice tight. I turned back, but the woman was gone, vanished, just like before. Lila's eyes darted around the empty garden, then locked onto me. "Ryan," she said softly, too softly. "Come back inside, please." I followed her, but as the door closed behind us, I couldn't help noticing her reflection in the glass. For a split second, it smiled before she did. That night, I lay in our hotel bed beside her. She fell asleep instantly, peaceful and beautiful in the half-light, but I couldn't. because the voice still echoed in my head. You shouldn't have married her. And the email. The photo. The missing sister. None of it added up. Not yet. But I was going to find out, even if it killed me. The morning after the wedding felt off from the very first second. Not hangover off. Not travel fatigue off. Just wrong. The kind of wrong where the air feels too thick, and the silence feels like it's waiting for you to notice something. Lila was already awake when I opened my eyes, sitting on the edge of the bed with her phone in hand. The sunlight from the hotel curtains hit her hair in gold streaks, but there was something about her posture, stiff, rigid, that immediately put me on edge. She smiled when she saw me wake up. It was practiced. Perfect. Too perfect. "Morning, husband," she said lightly, setting her phone face down on the nightstand. I tried to smile back. "Morning. You okay?" She nodded, a beat too fast. "Yeah, of course, just tired." There was a moment, small, invisible, but heavy, when we just looked at each other. And I knew that she knew something was off. And she knew that I knew too. We spent the morning packing for the honeymoon, a short trip to Lake Tahoe just a few hours away. But the energy between us was thick with tension. I kept catching her checking her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. And every time I glanced toward the window, I thought I saw movement, like someone watching from outside the hotel. But when I'd look directly, there was nothing, no figure, no face, just wind moving the curtains. Still, that image, her sister's face from the wedding, refused to leave my mind. The same features, the same eyes. But there was no light in them, just something hollow. Halfway to Tahoe, I finally broke the silence. "Lila," I said quietly, keeping my eyes on the road. "Can I ask you something?" She didn't look up from her phone. Do you have a sister?" Her phone froze mid-scroll. For a full 5 seconds, she didn't move. Then she laughed. Too loud, too quick. "What? No, where did that come from?" "Just something I thought I heard." "From who?" I hesitated. "At the wedding." Her fingers tightened around the phone. "You must have misheard." "Maybe," I said. But in the corner of my eye, I saw her reflection in the window. And for just a moment, a single, flickering heartbeat. It wasn't smiling, it was furious. When we arrived at the cabin, the caretaker handed us the keys and a small welcome basket. There were chocolates, a map, and a handwritten note. "Enjoy your stay, Mr. and Mrs. Ellis." That was the first time I'd seen her name next to mine. Lila Ellis. The name looked right, felt wrong. We unpacked in silence. The cabin was cozy, all wood paneling and the faint smell of pine. There was a lake view, a fireplace, a single bedroom with wide windows. But as the sun set, the shadows stretched too long. The air turned too still. Lila made dinner, pasta and wine. We ate quietly. I kept waiting for her to bring it up, to explain, to admit that something about her past wasn't what it seemed. She didn't. Around 10 p.m., she kissed me goodnight and slipped into bed. But I couldn't sleep, because from the window near the couch, I could see something glimmering down by the lake. A reflection. A pale figure standing at the edge of the dock, watching the cabin. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside. The air was cold, biting against my skin. Every crunch of gravel under my shoes felt too loud. "Hello?" I called. "Is someone there?" No response. I kept walking. The beam of my flashlight cut across the trees, the dock, the water, and nothing, just ripples on the lake. Then, as I turned back toward the cabin, I froze. There, in the reflection on the glass, was her, the sister, her face just inches behind mine, whispering something I couldn't hear. I spun around. Empty air. I ran inside, breath shaking, and slammed the door. Lila sat up in bed, eyes wide. "What happened?" "There's someone out there." "Who?" "I don't know. I think I stopped, because how could I explain that I thought I saw her twin ghost?" She stood, walked over, and put a hand on my arm. "You're exhausted. Come to bed." Her touch should have comforted me, but it didn't. It felt cold. I hesitated and her fingers tightened slightly, like she was anchoring me to her. Her eyes caught the light from the lamp, and for the briefest second, they didn't look brown. They looked black. I lay awake long after she fell asleep, staring at the ceiling. The sound of the lake outside was rhythmic, almost hypnotic. But beneath it, there was another sound, faint, like someone whispering my name just beyond the glass. "Ryan." I sat up. Lila was still asleep beside me. "Ryan, please." I turned toward the window and saw a face pressed against it, wet, pale, eyes wide and terrified. Her lips moved soundlessly, forming words I could barely make out. "She's not me." Then, gone. The glass fogged over, like a breath had just vanished, and somewhere behind me, Lila whispered in her sleep, "You shouldn't have seen her." That was the moment I knew I wasn't imagining things. Something was terribly, dangerously wrong. And whatever Lila was hiding, whatever secret her dead sister was trying to warn me about, it wasn't over. Not even close. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Not soft, morning footsteps. Not the gentle shuffle of someone making coffee. These were deliberate, slow, measured, pacing. The cabin floor creaked under each step. When I opened my eyes, sunlight was streaming through the curtains, and Lila was standing by the window facing the lake. She was motionless except for her breathing, slow and steady, like she was meditating. But something was off about the way she was standing. Her head was tilted at a strange angle, and her hands hung limply at her sides, fingers twitching slightly. "Lila?" I said softly. She didn't respond. I sat up. "Hey, you okay?" Her voice came low, almost detached. She came again, didn't she? My heart stopped. "What did you say?" Now she turned slowly, and her face, her face, and was wrong, not distorted. Just empty eyes blank. Smile thin and forced. "She came," she whispered. "You saw her." I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Lila blinked, and in that blink she seemed to snap back to herself. "Sorry," she said suddenly with a laugh that was way too bright. "I had the weirdest dream. You were shouting outside and someone was knocking on the window. I must have been half asleep." I stared at her. "You don't remember talking to me?" She frowned. "When?" "Just now." Her brow furrowed. "Ryan, I literally just woke up." She walked over, kissed my forehead, and said, "You really need to stop watching horror shows before bed." But as she turned away, I caught her reflection in the window again. It didn't smile. And for a fraction of a second, her reflection wasn't wearing a nightgown, it was wearing black. I knew I was losing it, but I couldn't stop looking for answers. When Lila went out for a morning walk, I pulled out my laptop and started digging. Her full name, Lila Tanaka Ellis, her mother's maiden name, Kobayashi. I searched every public database I could think of. Marriage records, birth certificates, obituaries, and then I found it, a news article from 2014. Local girl missing after lake accident. Twin sister survives. My blood went cold. There it was. A photo. 2 identical girls no older than 18, both smiling, one with a silver locket around her neck. The caption read, "Aiko and Lila Tanaka, 18, went swimming at Emerald Lake. Aiko was presumed drowned. Body never recovered. Presumed drowned, never recovered." When Lila came back, I was sitting at the kitchen table. The laptop still open. She froze when she saw the screen. "Why are you looking at that?" she whispered. "Because you told me you didn't have a sister." She swallowed hard, eyes darting toward the window like she expected someone to be watching. "I didn't lie," she said. "Aiko's dead." "Then who have I been seeing?" She flinched. I stood, my pulse hammering in my ears. "I saw her at the wedding, Lila. At the lake. Last night. She's not dead. Stop. She's trying to warn me." I said stop. The sound of her voice hit me like a slap. Sharp, commanding, and somehow not entirely hers. Her eyes went black again. Not just dark, but black, like ink spreading from the pupils. And then she whispered something that froze my blood. "You shouldn't have said her name." I backed away slowly. "Lila, what's happening?" She pressed a hand to her forehead, trembling. "It's fine. It's fine. She's gone." "She's supposed to be gone. Who?" Her voice cracked. "She doesn't belong here anymore." I reached for her, but she stepped back. "You don't understand. She died in that lake because of me. And she can't let go." My mouth went dry. "Because of you?" She was crying now, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "We used to switch places sometimes. It was a game. I told her to go swimming alone that day. I told her I'd meet her later. But her voice broke completely. She never came back. And you just pretended to be her?" She looked up at me, desperate. "I didn't mean to." When they asked who survived, I couldn't say. They thought I was Lila, and I let them believe it. I didn't think she'd follow me. The silence after that felt endless. "So?" I said slowly. "You're Aiko." She nodded, shaking, whispering through her tears. "I'm Aiko. I'm the one who lived." I took a step back, mind spinning. Everything made sense. The way she'd reacted when I'd asked about her sister, the way her reflection lagged, the way her mother avoided wedding planning like it hurt too much. She wasn't who she said she was. And the woman I'd been seeing, the one in black, wasn't a hallucination. It was the real Lila, the one who died. That night, I couldn't sleep. Aiko, I couldn't even call her Lila anymore, was in the shower, crying softly under the running water. I sat by the window, staring out at the lake, wondering if I should leave. If I could. Then through the glass, I saw movement, ripples spreading across the dark surface, a figure slowly rising from the water, pale and dripping, long hair clinging to her shoulders. She stepped onto the dock. Every step she took left wet footprints that shimmered faintly in the moonlight. And then, in a whisper that felt like it came from inside my skull, I heard her voice. "She stole my life. Now she'll take yours." The lights flickered, the cabin door creaked open on its own, and behind me, the shower stopped running. "Ryan?" Aiko's voice trembled. "Did you turn off the lights?" I didn't answer, because I could see a reflection in the window. Her, standing behind me, but there was another figure just behind her, both with the same face, and one of them was smiling. The lights went out completely. Pitch black. The kind of black that swallows the air, makes your heartbeat echo like a drum inside your skull. Eiko's voice came from the bathroom doorway, soft and terrified. Ryan? I didn't answer. Couldn't, because I wasn't sure which one of them had spoken. The reflection in the glass. The second Lila. The real Lila's was still there, only now. She was moving closer, each step mirrored in perfect sync with the faint sound of wet feet slapping against the cabin floor. Aiko, I whispered, forcing my voice steady. Don't move. A flicker of moonlight sliced through the window as the clouds shifted, and in that flash of silver light, I saw both of them, side by side. Aiko stood frozen, trembling, wearing her nightgown, water still dripping from her hair, and behind her, half shadow, half light, Lila, the same face, but her skin was pale as glass, her eyes like deep water. Her lips didn't move, but her voice slid through the air, whispering in perfect Japanese, Watashi no seikatsu o kaishite. Give me back my life. The temperature dropped so fast my breath fogged. Aiko spun, seeing her. No, you're not real. You're dead. Lila's head tilted, that same soft, awful smile spreading across her face. You took my name. You took my future. Now I'll take your soul. The sound of her voice wasn't human anymore. It echoed in layers. Like two people speaking through the same mouth, Aiko screamed. Ryan, help me! She stumbled toward me, but her foot slipped on the wet floor. She hit the ground hard, gasping. The air punched out of her lungs. I grabbed her wrist, pulling her upright, my hands slick with icy water that wasn't coming from her skin. The reflection in the window shifted. Now both of them were behind me. Aiko clutched my arm, shaking. We have to go, now! We bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before we reached it. Not with a bang, but with that eerie softness of something being pushed, not pulled. The window glass began to fog again. Then, slowly, letters appeared in the mist. Liar. Aiko sank to her knees, sobbing. Please, I didn't mean to. I just wanted to live. I didn't mean to. The air vibrated. The fireplace flared to life on its own. Flames roaring up the chimney, casting long, violent shadows across the room. Lila stepped through the reflection. Not through the glass, through me. It was like being submerged in ice. Every cell in my body screamed. My lungs seized. The sound in the room dimmed until all I could hear was water rushing in my ears. Aiko crawled backward, eyes wide, whispering prayers. Lila turned her head toward her twin. Her movements were slow, deliberate, unnatural, like someone learning to walk again after years underwater. You wore my skin, Lila hissed. You stole my name, Aiko sobbed. I'm sorry. Please, I didn't mean to. You loved it, Lila whispered. You loved the way they looked at you, the way he loved you. Her voice broke. You don't deserve to live. Aiko stumbled toward me. Ryan, we have to burn it. What? The locket. It's the only thing tying her here. It's in my bag. What? Hurry. I sprinted toward the bed where her duffel sat half-zipped. My hands fumbled through clothes, toiletries, makeup. Then I found it. A small silver locket, tarnished, cold as metal, pulled from a grave. Inside were two photos, two little girls smiling at a lake. When I touched it, a voice whispered right behind my ear, You're not supposed to have that. I turned. No one. The air in the room went still. Aiko screamed. Lila was on her, hands around her throat. Her fingers were long, gray, and dripping. Water pooled beneath them as they struggled, the floorboards groaning like the cabin itself was alive. Stop, I shouted. She's sorry. Lila's eyes snapped toward me. For a split second, I saw something human there. Pain, betrayal, the hollow ache of someone who just wanted her life back. Then it was gone. Aiko's hands clawed at her sister's wrists, gasping, Burn it! Ryan, burn it! I didn't think. I just moved. I threw the locket into the fireplace. The moment it hit the flames, the entire cabin shook. A sound like a scream tore through the walls. Part wind, part water, part human. The lights flickered wildly, and every shadow in the room seemed to thrash against the walls. Aiko fell to the floor, choking, sobbing. Lila's figure stumbled backward, her outline distorting, edges unraveling like smoke underwater. Her mouth opened, not in rage this time, but in something closer to sadness. You stole my life, she whispered, voice fading. Don't steal his too. Then she was gone. Just gone. The fire snapped and popped once more, then dimmed. The cabin fell into silence so thick it pressed against my ears. Aiko lay curled on the floor, shivering. I knelt beside her, brushing damp hair from her face. Hey, it's over. Her voice was barely a whisper. No, it's not, I frowned. What do you mean? She looked up at me with eyes that weren't hers. Too dark, too deep. She's not gone, Ryan. My pulse froze. Aiko, she's inside me. She smiled then. That same perfect, practiced smile Lila used to give. the one that never reached her eyes. And for the first time since the wedding, I realized I might never really know which sister I'd married, or which one had truly survived the lake. The silence after she said it was unbearable. She's inside me. Her words hung in the air like smoke, thick and poisonous, impossible to ignore. The fire crackled softly, casting orange light across her face, and for a second, I could swear I saw two shadows behind her instead of one. I stepped back, hands shaking. What do you mean inside you? Aiko didn't answer. She stared into the fire, eyes glassy, her breathing slow and even, like someone listening to something I couldn't hear. I said her name again. Aiko. Her head turned toward me, too slowly. Her eyes, once brown and warm, now shimmered with a faint blue tint, the same color as the lake outside. She didn't leave. She whispered. You didn't burn the locket fast enough. I glanced at the fireplace. The locket was still there, half melted, metal warped and blackened. She's still here, Aiko said again. Her voice wasn't trembling anymore. It was calm, almost serene, and that terrified me more than her panic ever did. For the next few hours, I tried to keep myself busy. I pretended things were fine. Made tea, lit more candles, avoided every window. But every time I glanced at Aiko, she was just sitting there, watching the flames, humming softly to herself. It wasn't a tune I recognized, but I'd heard it before, at the wedding. That soft, wordless melody Lila had hummed as she walked down the aisle. It wasn't something Aiko should have known. Aiko, I said gently. She didn't move. Aiko, can you look at me? She finally turned, smiling faintly. You shouldn't call me that anymore. The air seemed to vanish from the room. What? I told you, she said softly, voice layered with something deeper, something older. She's inside me. Maybe we're the same now. Her gaze drifted to the window. The lake shimmered under the moonlight, rippling even though the wind was still. She wants to be whole again. Around midnight, the storm started. The wind howled through the trees, rain hammering against the roof like nails. Lightning flashed across the lake, illuminating the dark water for just a second, and in that brief flash, I saw her Lila standing waist-deep in the lake, eyes open, mouth moving soundlessly. I blinked, but she was gone, Aiko, or whoever she was now, and whispered, She's calling me. I moved toward her. No, don't go near that lake. Her expression didn't change. I have to. It's where it started. I reached out to grab her arm, but she jerked away violently, her skin cold and slick like she'd just come out of the water. She wants to trade, she whispered. She wants to finish what she started. Lightning flashed again, and this time, I saw two figures in the water. One looked like Lila, the other looked exactly like Aiko, both beckoning. The door blew open. Wind roared into the cabin, scattering papers, blowing out candles. Rain poured across the threshold. Aiko turned to me with that same hollow smile. If I don't go, she'll take you instead. Before I could stop her, she bolted outside, barefoot, in her nightgown. I chased after her, my shoes sliding in the mud. Aiko! The storm was chaos, thunder, wind, rain that felt like shards of ice. She ran toward the dock, her hair plastered against her face, her feet slapping against the wet boards. And there, at the edge of the lake, stood Lila, still and silent. The water around her churned, dark and alive. Aiko slowed, gasping. Please just let me live. Lila tilted her head. You already did. Lightning hit the water. The sound was deafening. I shielded my eyes, and when I looked again, both of them were gone. Only the storm remained. I called her name for what felt like hours. My throat was raw, my hands numb. I stumbled along the shoreline until sunrise, scanning the water for any sign of her. Nothing. No body, no footprints, just the dock, creaking softly in the morning breeze. When I finally went back inside, the fire was dead. The cabin was cold, and on the table sat the melted locket. It hadn't been there when I ran out. It was open now. And inside, the photo had changed. The two little girls were gone. In their place was me and Leela, smiling. I left the cabin that morning, packed what I could, and drove until my hands stopped shaking. The police called it a tragic accident. A woman lost in the storm. They searched the lake for days but found nothing. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photograph. Me, standing on the dock, next to Aiko. Only, in the photo, she wasn't wearing her nightgown. She was wearing black. And in the reflection of the water, there were two of me. It's been months now. I moved to another city, changed numbers, tried to rebuild. But sometimes when I pass by mirrors or look at my phone camera, I see her for a second, behind me. Smiling Leela, Aiko, both. Neither. I don't even know anymore. Last week I found the locket again. I swear I left it at the cabin, but it was sitting on my kitchen counter, clean and shining like new. I opened it. The photo had changed again. It's just me now. But my reflection in the locket's glass, it's smiling wider than I am, and it's whispering something I can't quite hear. Something that sounds a lot like, "Ryan, come home." I didn't go home. Not for weeks. After I found the locket sitting on my counter, shining like it had just been polished, I packed a bag and rented a cheap motel outside the city. The kind of place where no one asks questions and the carpet smells like old smoke. I tried to convince myself it was stress, trauma, hallucinations from lack of sleep. But the locket, it kept showing up. I'd throw it in the trash. It would reappear on the nightstand. I'd flush it down the toilet, only to find it in my jacket pocket the next morning. Once, I even drove 40 miles out to the desert, buried it under a rock, and by the time I got back to my room, it was waiting on the pillow, like it had followed me, like she had. The dreams started soon after. Every night, I was back at the lake. The sky was dark and the water was still. I'd hear someone whisper my name, not calling, not begging, just reminding me I belonged there. And always, I'd see her standing in the water, Lila, or maybe Aiko, or both. Sometimes she was smiling. Sometimes she was crying. And sometimes her mouth moved in sync with mine, like we were sharing the same breath. I started waking up drenched, the sheets soaked like I'd been swimming. My clothes smelled faintly of lake water. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating, and still, the whispers didn't stop. "You married me. You buried me. Now come home." 3 weeks later, I went to the police. I told them everything. The drowning, the identity switch, the twin who might have survived. The officer listening was polite, but I could tell from his eyes that he thought I was losing it. They still had an open missing persons case for Aiko Tanaka, filed by her mother, but no new leads. The body was never recovered. When I mentioned the locket, the officer's face changed slightly. "Silver? Heart-shaped? With initials on the back?" I nodded. He exchanged a glance with his partner. "We found one just like that last week. Washed up near Emerald Lake, but it was empty." My stomach dropped. "Empty?" He nodded. "No photo. Just a note inside." "What did it say?" He flipped open a folder and read it aloud. "He still wears my name." I left before they could ask any more questions. That night, I finally caved. I drove back to the cabin. It was late, nearly midnight, when I parked by the lake. The cabin was dark, untouched since the search team had cleared it. The air smelled like pine and rain. The lake was calm. Too calm. I walked down the dock slowly, flashlight beam cutting through the mist. My reflection followed me in the black water, distorted, rippling, almost human. When I reached the end, I whispered, "I'm here." Nothing. The wind didn't move. The trees didn't stir. Then, a ripple, a shape rising from the water. She surfaced slowly, her hair clinging to her face, eyes glowing faintly under the moonlight. "Ryan," she whispered, voice soft and broken. "Why did you leave me?" My chest tightened. "I didn't know who you were." She smiled, not cruelly, but almost tenderly. "You still don't." "I loved you," I said, stepping closer. "Whichever one you were," her eyes flickered. "You can't love one without loving both. We were the same, and then I saw it. Her reflection in the water wasn't hers, it was mine. Same clothes, same face, same terrified expression." I stumbled back, heart slamming in my chest. "What do you want?" Her smile widened. "Balance." The lake water surged upward, hitting me like a wave. I tried to grab the dock, but someone, pulled me under. Freezing water filled my lungs. Darkness swallowed me whole. I saw flashes, her face, my wedding, the cabin, the locket burning, then nothing. I woke up on the shore. Dawn, my clothes were dry. My phone was beside me, and the locket was in my hand. Only now, it was open. Inside was a photo of me, alone, and a single word etched into the metal beneath it. Ours. It's been a year now. I live alone in a small apartment near the city. I tell people my wife died in an accident, and they nod, offering the kind of sympathy that doesn't require follow-up questions. But sometimes, when I'm brushing my teeth, I catch a glimpse of something in the mirror. Not behind me, within me. A flash of blue eyes instead of brown. A smile that's not quite mine. And when I turn the faucet off, I can still hear the faintest echo of her voice through the pipes. "You came home. I don't know if she's gone. I don't know if she's me now. All I know is the locket is still on my nightstand. And every night before I fall asleep, I hear it click open. And the voice, her voice, whispers from the darkness, gentle and familiar. 'Good night, husband. We're whole now.' The end."